Welcome to Beaumont City Council's closed session for Tuesday, October 5th. I'm a little early. We'll wait till 5. Jump the gun here. Almost. There we are. We'll go ahead and open this up at 5 p.m. Nicole, can you please take roll?
Councilmember Santos.
Here.
Councilmember Fenn.
Here.
Councilmember Martinez. Mayor Pro Tem White.
Here.
Mayor Lara.
Here. This meeting will be open to the public and conducted in a virtual format to be inclusive of all participation preferences. Public comment participation is encouraged by emailing any comments to the city clerk's office or by calling in using the phone number provided on the front of the agenda. Nicole, do we have any public comments for closed session?
Not for closed session. Carrie, do we have anyone on the line? Carrie, can you hear us? Do we have anyone on the line?
No callers on the line, Nicole. Sorry, you just came on audio, by the way.
Oh,
I
thank
caught
you.
the tail end of that.
Thank you. Mr. Pinckney, can you please read the items for discussion in closed session?
Yes, item number 1 is conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D4, one potential case. Item 2 is conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. City designated representative, City Manager Todd Parton, and Administrative Services Director Carrie Mendoza. The employee organizations are the Beaumont Police Officers Association and the SEIU. The third item is conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, and that's Mr. Ilatafe versus City of Beaumont et al. EDCV, case number is EDCV 21-1452JWH-AGR.
Thank you, Mr. Pinckney. Is your microphone on?
Yes.
Okay. With that, we will adjourn to closed session at 5:02. Back from closed session. Mr. Pinckney, can you please give us a report out from closed session?
Yes, the council met in closed session. Item number 1 was conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D4, one potential case. There was no reportable action. The second item was conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6, city designated representative, City Manager Todd Parton, and Administrative Services Director Carrie Mendoza, the employee organizations, the Beaumont Police Officers Association and SEIU. There was no reportable action. The third item did have reportable action. That was conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, and that's Zikawasili Ilaputafi versus the City of Beaumont, case number EDC V211452 JWH AGR, and there was a motion authorizing the city attorney's office to defend all named defendants in the action, and that motion was made by Vice Mayor Laura. It was seconded by Councilmember Fenn, and the votes were as follows. Mayor Laura was a yes, Vice Mayor White was a yes, Councilmember Fenn was a yes, Councilmember Santos was a yes, and Councilmember Martinez was a yes. And I just want to make sure I was clear. It was actually Mayor Laura that was the first. So, and that's the report out from closed session.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pinckney. And so I want to welcome everyone to our regular session for the City of Beaumont for October 5th of 2021. And I will call this meeting to order at 6:17. Nicole, can I have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Santos?
Here.
Councilmember Fenn?
Here.
Councilmember Martinez?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Here.
Mayor Lara?
Here. And Nicole, let the record reflect that Councilmember Martinez was in attendance during closed session. And with that, Councilmember Martinez, can you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, I will. Put your hand over your heart, please. Ready, begin.
That brings us to announcements and recognition. We have a quick proclamation for Clean Air Day from California City's support for and declaration of Clean Air Day. Whereas air pollution contributes to higher rates of cancer and heart and lung diseases, which adversely affect health, and whereas California has some of the most polluted regions in the United States, and whereas it is vital that we protect the health and well-being of our residents, visitors, and workforce, and whereas emissions from vehicles, industry, and even household sources significantly affects the natural environment, air quality, and well-being of residents, employees, and visitors of the City of Beaumont. And whereas individual actions such as not idling vehicles, walking or biking to work and school, carpooling, and conserving energy can directly improve air quality in our region, and whereas everyone can play a role, and whereas education about air quality can raise community awareness, encourage our community to develop better habits, and improve our community health, and whereas Californians will be joining together across the state to clear the air on October 6th, 2021, and whereas the City of Beaumont is committed to the health of our residents, workforce, visitors, and community at large, and now therefore be it resolved on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim October 6th, 2021 to be declared Clean Air Day in the city, and be it further resolved that we encourage all residents, businesses, employees, and community members to participate in Clean Air Day and help clear the air for all Californians. Thank you. And that brings us to our CAL FIRE personnel recognition and introduction. Chief Hopkins, will you please take over?
Good morning, Council and Mayor. In the fire service, we have many traditions. One of those traditions is recognizing accomplishments of individuals as they promote up through the ranks and the individuals who complete a lifelong career of serving others. I'm proud to present to the council members tonight those who have served the citizens of Beaumont and Riverside County. The individuals who I present to you tonight have made the decision to step up into leadership roles and that will help carry on the excellent customer service and professionalism to the citizens of Beaumont. One of these positions is the fire captain position for Station 66. The fire captain position is one of the most important and rewarding positions we have in the fire service. They run the day-to-day operations and set the tone for all personnel at the station. They are your first company officer to take command of an incident and are the backbone to a successful operation during an incident. They form a bond with their crews that is equivalent to the leader of a family. The other leadership position being filled tonight is a vacant battalion chief position in Battalion 3, which is our version of the quarterback for the fire service. The battalion chief communicates with the different fire captains at each station. They work very long hours dealing with schedules, training for all the personnel in the battalion, deal with finances and respond to calls to provide the leadership role and orchestrate the mitigation of any incident that's presented to them. What I'd like to do first is call up one of our retiring fire captains from Station 66 and recognize him, Fire Captain Richard Galoni. So I'd like to present to you Fire Captain Richard Galoni. Captain Galoni has worked for CAL FIRE for the past 23 years and is going to be moving to retirement this November 29th. Captain Galoni has dedicated himself to serving the public throughout Riverside County and the last 4 years in the city of Beaumont, Fire Station 66. I personally know Captain Galoni for most of his career, and the thing I'll remember most about Captain Galoni is he's a genuine nice guy. He's the real deal. He is selfless, cares about his crew, and his overall character is top-notch. His latest selfless act before he leaves us at Station 66 was he put a transfer into a different battalion so that we were able to hire 2 captains that we've been training over the years, but we had no openings in the battalion. If not for his actions, I wouldn't have been able to hire the 2 new captains, including one I'm going to present to you tonight. Captain Galoni's been married to his beautiful wife, Kelly, for 33 years. The 2 of them will be moving on to new adventures, and they're moving to Idaho. They just put new carpeting and new granite countertops yesterday or this last week, so he's packing his bags. Rich, I'd like to thank you for your dedication, your leadership, and your friendship over the years. We have something made for you we're going to present from CAL FIRE and from the city of Beaumont. And I'll read what's inscribed on it. In appreciation and recognition for your loyal service to the community and dedication to the department, CAL FIRE, Riverside County Fire Department, and the city of Beaumont would like to congratulate you for your 23 years of service for CAL FIRE and 4 years of service as the fire captain at Station 66. Your character and leadership will be missed. We wish you the very best in your retirement. So thank you, Rich. Next, I'd like to call up Ryan Dutton. So I'd like to present to you Captain Ryan Dutton. Captain Ryan Dutton began his career with CAL FIRE, Riverside County Fire Department as a volunteer firefighter in the community of Rubidoux in 2007. Ryan attended paramedic school in 2008, after which he worked for American Medical Response in Ranch Cucamonga. In 2012, Ryan accepted a full-time position as a firefighter paramedic with CAL FIRE, Riverside County Fire Department, and was stationed in the Blythe Battalion. I was actually his battalion chief in Blythe, and one of the reasons why he's here as an engineer in Beaumont. That's called pre-planning. During Ryan's time with CAL FIRE, Riverside County Fire Department, he's been a member of multiple training cadres for disciplines including live fire, search and rescue, fire apparatus, driver operator, and emergency medical care. Ryan is involved in the management of the Emergency Medical Service Program for the Beaumont Battalion and is a member of the Department's Emergency Medical Services Advisory Committee. Ryan is also the Fire Explorer Post Advisor for the City of Beaumont's Fire Explorer Program. Ryan has also been the liaison to outside agency training that has been conducted with our partners such as Beaumont Police Department and others. He's one of the ones that provided the training for Beaumont Police to be able to use the Narcan. Ryan is a resident of Rancho Cucamonga, where he lives with his beautiful wife, Andrea, and his son, Connor, and Preston. Preston's 2 months old? 5 weeks old. So Ryan is proud to be able to serve the residents of the city of Beaumont and plans on continuing to do so for many years to come. Please congratulate Ryan on his promotion to the rank of fire captain at the city of Beaumont's Fire Station 66. And one of our traditions that we're going to do now is ask his wife to come up and pin his badge on him. Okay, finally, I'm going to introduce you to our new battalion chief, Mr. Tim Voigt, Chief Tim Voigt. So Tim Voigt began his fire service career in 1993 as a volunteer firefighter in Riverside County, assigned to the Cherry Valley Station, Station 22, and then moved to Beaumont Station 66. In 2000, Tim started with CDF as a seasonal firefighter in the Santa Clara unit, assigned to the Morgan Hill headquarters station. In 2001, Tim was assigned to RRU, which is the Riverside unit, working both Schedule A and Schedule B programs. In 2003, Tim left CDF and gained full-time employment with AMR, working in the Palm Springs division as an EMT working on an ALS ambulance. In 2005, he was hired in the Paris Command Center as a public safety communications officer. In 2007, he was hired as a firefighter 2 in the city of Indio. In 2011, Tim was promoted to fire apparatus engineer working in Mecca and Palm Desert Battalion. In February 2016, Tim was promoted to fire captain in the Desert Hot Springs Battalion, and 3 years ago transferred to the Val Vista Station 72. Tim has been involved in the Riverside Company Officer Orientation class and the high-rise cadre teaching hydraulics and pumping procedures. Tim resides in the city of Beaumont and has been married to his beautiful wife Jessica for 18 years. They share 3 daughters together. Please join me in congratulating Tim Voigt to his appointment to Battalion Chief, Battalion 3. And we're going to ask his wife Jessica to come up and pin on his badge. So I'd like to thank you for your time, but this is and then this is, if you remember, this is Chief Otterman, our current other battalion chief that we have in the past. So thank you again, Rich, for your dedication to Beaumont. Thank you for our new chief and our new captain for stepping up. And then you have your crew back there, Station 66, your engine, your squad crew. So thank you all for coming and supporting, and also the family members that came out tonight. Thank you, Council.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you very much. There you go. Just a quick note, I know it indicates that there's the Beaumont Library 110th Anniversary Proclamation. We're going to go ahead and reschedule that when we can have a library representative in attendance. That brings us to the public comment period for items not on the agenda. This meeting will be open to the public and conducted in a virtual format to be inclusive of all participation preferences. Public comment participation is encouraged by emailing any comments to the city clerk's office or by calling in using the phone number provided at the front of the agenda. Anyone in person wishing to speak can do so by filling out a form at the back of the room and handing it to a staff member. Nicole, do we have any public comments that are for items not on the agenda?
Yes, sir, we do. I have 2 written comments. I'll do those first, and then I have an in-person.
Okay, thank you.
First written comment is from Sonia Colchado. She writes, I am a parent of two children that attend Starlight Elementary. Beaumont USD has been doing a terrible job at handling COVID-19 precautions in our schools. Masking indoors isn't fully enforced and contact tracing is minimal. We've asked the board to at the very least offer rapid testing, and they have yet to do so. When asked by a school board member, Mays Kakish if only acknowledged that they are working on a proposal for PCR testing. There are families in this community who cannot afford to pay for rapid testing on their own. When parents are notified that their child has been identified as a close exposure, some seek testing to assure that their child isn't positive. PCR testing results can take up to 5 days to get a result. This means that the child isn't able to attend school and parents need to take time off work to stay home with the child. With rapid testing, we can have quicker results that can help prevent further spread of COVID-19. We're asking that the City of Beaumont provide rapid testing for local students since BUSD has failed to do so. Next written comment is from Georgina Lucas. I'm writing to you as a concerned community member and parent of children who attend Starlight Elementary. I wanted to ask you if it was possible to get rapid COVID tests somehow provided to students for free, as Beaumont Unified School District is refusing to do so, because they have not and will not utilize their portion of the government COVID relief funding to use on rapid tests. Parents are having to pay out of pocket for these rapid tests, which is over time not cheap. Some parents are then not testing their children after they have a known exposure to COVID positive peer. This is in turn jeopardizes the students, their families, and the entire community. These rapid tests are vital as they allow students who are COVID negative to be able to return to school earlier. When we utilize a free testing facility like Rite Aid, we have to wait 2 to 3 days for results rather than 15 minutes. Children are missing in-person school days because of this. Also, the rapid tests are providing positive results sooner, which allows for more efficient contact tracing to be performed and stop a COVID-19 outbreak as soon as possible. Superintendent Mays and the entire Beaumont Unified School District board members are very aware that this is a health hazard to the community, but have continued to decide against providing tests to the students. Please help us as parents who want to keep our children and community at large safe, not only now, but especially during this upcoming fall and winter when COVID is likely to make a return. Some families lack funds to purchase these rapid tests and cannot stay home an extra 2 to 3 days with a child on an unnecessary quarantine because the school is not providing these rapid tests. Thank you. And then I have an in-person public comment. Martin Bright.
Good evening, council, staff. Thank you for continuing to dedicate your time and efforts to the progress of our city. I'm here representing the Beaumont Cherry Valley Rotary Club. You have a consent item on the calendar for our request for a fee waiver for the senior Thanksgiving dinner that we put on annually to use the Chatney Center on the 13th of November for an in-person Thanksgiving dinner this year. Unless there are extenuating circumstances that continue or show up in November with our current pandemic, we would convert that then to a delivery program for the seniors so that we can continue providing that benefit during that important time to have personal contact. So we're asking you to waive the fees for us to use that facility on that day, and we're also inviting you all, council and staff, to come out and join us and help the seniors in our community have some fellowship, have some good food, and hopefully brighten their day. This is a decades-old commitment that we've made to the community. It is not a fundraiser. It is totally supported by the Rotary Club and the members. They cook the turkeys. They provide the fixings that go with the turkey. They try to get entertainment from the Early Act clubs and the Interact Club to participate in serving the meals and entertaining the seniors. So it is something that is fully for the benefit of the community without charge. I appreciate your consideration to that consent item, and we look forward to seeing you on the 13th of November. Good night, and God bless.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Bright. Also, I just want to let you know how much we appreciate everything that you do for our community, the flags and everything that else that you participate in, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Carrie, do we have anyone on the line?
No callers on the line, Nicole.
No other comments.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, may I ask a quick question? What time on November 13th? What time does it usually start?
We are there from 8 a.m. in the morning until approximately 3 to 5 p.m., depending on the cleanup and the visitors that are socializing with people they haven't seen in a while.
Did you want to know what time the pumpkin pie was going to be served, or? Okay, just checking.
It's right after lunch.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay. So with that, that brings us to our consent calendar. These items are on the consent calendar are taken as one action unless an item is pulled for further discussion here or at the end of the action items. Approval of all ordinances and resolutions to be read by title only. I'll look for a motion, but before that, I wanted to pull consent item 6 and consent item 7, just for a couple of quick questions and. And if nobody else has any items that they'd like to pull, we can, I'll look for a motion.
Mayor,
I'll move to approve the consent calendar items 4, 5, 8, 9, and 10, correct? You pulled 6 and 7?
Yes, that's correct.
I'll second that.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me back up 1 second. I'm sorry. Can you please revise that? I wanted to pull 8 and 9. My copy.
Instead of 6 and 7?
That is correct.
Okay.
My apologies.
So I'll move to approve the consent calendar items 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'll second that, Mayor.
Councilmember Santos?
Aye.
Councilmember Fenn?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Yes.
Mayor Lara?
Yes. So the question I had on item 8 regarding the resolution of the city of Beaumont declaring the intention to vacate 10th Street, I understand that this is tied to our Stewart Park project. So if at all possible, I'd like to try to get a little bit of an update as to where we are with the Rengel Park and Stewart Park.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I think it's related to the park project. Ms. Gibbs, would you like to provide an update? Or would you like to hear a staff report first on the item? I'm assuming you just update.
You know what? Staff report is, I really don't need to, I've read through that. Just a quick update on the park status, both parks, please.
Nicole, can you let Elizabeth in? There she is.
She's here.
My apologies, Mayor and Council. I had a conflict with one of the items on the consent calendar. I'm an active member of the Rotary Club, so I was in the waiting room.
Oh. So what I was asking, Ms. Gibbs, is can you give me a brief update on the status of Rengel Park and Stewart Park? I know that this item is tied to vacating the street between the two parks by the plunge and the one further north.
Sure, I'll start with Rengel. So we have retained the services of a landscape architect. That firm is Architera, and Architera is working on getting a design development of our existing conceptual plan, and they are coordinating with a couple other consultants that we've hired for Rengel, an electrical engineer, which council approved a few months ago, and also a Water Odyssey firm, which is California Waters. They are designing the splash park at Rengel. And we just finished working with a civil engineer that we hired to do the topographic surveys so that the landscape architect could start their portion. The landscape architect is going to do a formal master plan design of Rengel with all of the amenities. If you remember, I think it was March or April in 19, it was prior to COVID, council approved a conceptual plan of Rengel with all of the amenities. So Architecture is going to take that one step farther. For Stewart Park, we are working with California Waters as well. They are working on the splash pad design, and they did submit the initial design development for the splash pad, and we are internally reviewing those plans. And we've also retained a landscape architect specifically for the band shell at the south end of the park. And we are working with RHA Landscape Architects out of Riverside on that piece of the project. City staff did recently complete the demolition of the ball field stands and backstop. And and then one other thing that we did at Rengel, I apologize, we did hire an electrical engineer. And so the landscape architect for Rengel is working with the electrical engineer and California Waters, and then also Musco Lighting. I failed to mention that we've been talking to Musco Lighting for the ball field lighting at Rengel. So Stewart Park right now, we're focusing on the splash park and the band shell.
Okay. Can you do me a favor and bring this back, if possible, as an agenda item for an update?
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Mayor.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, I was going to interrupt you, but go ahead.
Okay, if you could bring this back as an agenda item, or if we could, if it's okay with council. The concern that I have is I'm not seeing a lot of activity with Stewart Park. I think we demoed the pool in January. There was a lot of eyes on that, a lot of email traffic that I received. Demoed the pavilion in June, and I think we were given an 18-month turnaround timeframe on that, and we've gone through 8 months already. So I just want to make sure that we're still tracking and where we are. And I know that we don't want to get into the details at this point, but if you could do that for me?
Sure, so just to clarify, you would like an update specifically on Stewart Park?
Yeah, it seems like Rengel Park is moving along pretty well, unless council wants an update on both, but for sure Stewart Park. Stewart is fine.
Okay, and we've passed the deadline for submittal for October 19th. Is the first meeting in November okay?
Yeah, that would be fine. Thank you very much. And with that, I will make a motion to waive the full reading and adopt by title only a resolution of the City Council of the City of Beaumont, California, declaring its intention to vacate 10th Street between Orange Avenue and Maple Avenue.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Santos?
Yes.
Councilmember Finn?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Yes.
Mayor Lara?
Yes. Brings us to consent item 9, request for facility fee waiver. The question I had is, I think a few years ago, we had a fee study. Are we going to be doing a new fee study?
Yes, we are. We are out to RFP on that fee study right now. So we hope to have a consultant selected within the next 30 days or so
Okay.
for that.
Okay, and with that fee study, I'd like to look at, whenever that comes back, to look at maybe some options to where we can help support some of these community groups that need facilities and that are doing the work for free in our nonprofit. Okay, thank you very much, sir. And with that, I'll go ahead and make a motion to consider the waiver of the facility use and staff fees requested by the Rotary Club of Beaumont Cherry Valley in the amount of $670, and consider the waiver of a $500 deposit for the use of the gymnasium at CRC.
And I'll second that.
Councilmember Santos?
Aye.
Councilmember Finn?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Yes.
Mayor Lara?
Yes. Thank you very much. And that brings us to public hearings. Item 11, public hearing and consideration of an amendment to the Beaumont Municipal Code, Chapter 17.14.030, definitions, amendment to Table 17.03-3, permitted uses in base zone districts, and addition of 17.11.160, energy storage facilities. Staff report by Ms. Christina Taylor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening is consideration of amendments to the municipal code to allow for energy storage facilities. The state of California has recently enacted policies and legislations related to alternative energy. Some of the most notable includes 2018's Clean Energy Act, 2019's Golden State Energy Act, 2015's Energy Efficiency Assembly Bill 802, some executive orders this year, most notably N7920, and numerous other emergency proclamations related to energy use, which have been issued over the past few years. The Beaumont Municipal Code, Chapter 17, regulates land uses within the city of Beaumont. The code currently allows for a variety of utility-related uses, including water, sewer, and wind energy. Other than wind energy, the code does not provide an option for other alternative energy sources. In an effort to acknowledge the direction of the state and to provide options for a variety of alternative energy in the city, staff is proposing the addition of energy storage facilities to the municipal code. The proposed ordinance is aimed at providing the opportunity for energy storage while still protecting the health and safety of the general public. This is achieved through properly classifying facilities, providing development standards, performance measures, and ensuring proper decommissioning when the use is terminated. The proposed ordinance before you tonight contains the following key components: classification of the facilities, development standards which address site design, standard conditions of approval which would be included for every project, and a decommissioning plan which includes establishment of a decommissioning fund to ensure funds are available if a developer or operator were to cease existence. The proposed code chapter in its entirety is included as an attachment, along with the definitions which would be added to the municipal code, as well as the permitted use table. On September 28th, the City of Beaumont's Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on this item. We did receive one comment, and staff and commission concurred that the comments and suggestions were reasonable and incorporated those into what you're looking at this evening. Planning Commission did forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council. Staff is recommending City Council hold a public hearing and waive the first full reading and adopt by title only an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Beaumont approving an amendment to Beaumont Municipal Code Chapter 17, 1430 definitions, Table 1703-3 permitted uses in base zone districts, and addition of 1711-160 energy storage facilities. I'm happy to answer any questions you have this evening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Taylor. I appreciate that. With that, I will go ahead and open the public hearing at 6:49. Do we have any public comment? Nicole?
I have no written comments, no requests. Carrie, do we have anyone on the line?
I do have a caller on the line. Hold one moment. Okay, cancel that, Nicole. He has no comments at this time. If he changes his mind, I'll let you know during public comment period.
Okay, thank you. So I will go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:50 and open it up to council discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple questions.
Councilmember Finn.
Yes, do we have any current facilities that meet this criteria and under this designation? And are there also any current requests for approval for such a facility?
We do not have any current facilities operating that would fit this criteria. We do have one application in that would fall under this zoning code amendment.
And with that application, then, is everything look like that our guidelines would meet their request?
Yes. Based on what we're proposing here and what the application entails, yes, they would meet or fit all this criteria, maybe needing some minor amendments to wall design or wall heights or something like that. But as far as the overall development, the location, the zoning, all of those things would be met.
Okay, and in general, you don't have to give specific, but is it south part of town, south of the freeway? You know, is it in that general area, or where would it be?
So the only place that staff is recommending we allow these types of use is in the manufacturing zone. Because of the type of equipment and the nature of operation of these facilities, it would not be suitable to operate in a general commercial and definitely not in a residential area. So the only addition into the zoning code would be for the manufacturing zone.
Okay, and then last question, with our Economic Development Committee, do we foresee a need or desire for more businesses of that type coming to our area?
I would defer to Mr. Warsinski on any discussions that have happened at the Economic Development Committee regarding these uses, because I don't attend every meeting. However, I do anticipate, just because of the nature of what the state of California is working towards, that we will see more of these types of uses looking for a location.
Okay, that's a fair enough answer. I do serve on that committee and I hadn't heard anything yet, but that's good enough to know that we're being proactive and expecting more in the future. Thank you.
No? You good? Look for motion?
Mayor, I'll move to waive the first full reading, approved by title only, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Beaumont approving an amendment to Beaumont Municipal Code, Chapter 171430, definitions amendment to Table 1703-3, permitted uses in base zone districts, in addition of 17.11.160 energy storage facilities.
I'll second.
Roll, please.
Councilmember Santos,
Aye.
Councilmember Finn,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem White,
Yes.
Mayor Lara.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to the action items. Action item 12, approval of a purchase order in the amount not to exceed $1,284,709.50 to Creative Bus Sales for the procurement of 2 compressed natural gas type H El Dorado National Easy Rider 2 buses, capital improvement project T-07. Staff report by Mr. Doug Story.
Mayor and council, thank you. I have before you this evening a staff report in regards to the opportunity for us to purchase 2 new buses for our transit department. We're excited to bring this before you tonight. This gives us an opportunity to add to our CNG, our compressed natural gas buses. We were able to get this quote today through Creative Bus Sales by using a purchase cooperative with the Morongo Basin Transit Authority, and then also the California Association of Coordinated Transportation, or CALACT, so that we can get a really great deal and a great price on these 2 buses for us. The FTA requires, Federal Transit Administration, it requires that we do these type of competitive cooperative purchases. So it helps us get us that good deal. And this process is going to help us save about $50,000 on the buses that we're proposing today. These buses are going to go into our fleet, and they have the opportunity to be either have 30 passengers in it or there's a couple of seats that can move around and we could have some wheelchairs. So if there's wheelchairs in there, then there will be 24 passengers on the buses. And I think the best news in going forward with this project is that it doesn't have any fiscal impact into our general fund. So this is something that was included in our short range transit plan, our SRTP for fiscal year 2022. And it is helped in being funded by RCTC and their state transit assistant project. And that project was designated as project 22-01. And then we added it into our capital improvement project, which is capital improvement project T07. And so we're just kind of going forward with the plans and the situations that we are looking to add to these buses. So I included the quote in here so you can see some of the specifics about what we're getting. And if there's any other questions that you have about this purchase, I'd love to answer them at this time.
Nicole, do we have any public comment on this action item?
I have no public comments. Carrie, do we have anyone on the line?
No callers on the line.
Thank you. So with that, I'll open it up for council discussion or a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion if there's no discussion. I'll make a motion to approve the procurement of 2 CNG Type H Eldorado National Easy Rider 2 buses from Creative Bus Sales and authorize city staff to issue a purchase order in an amount not to exceed $1,284,709.50 from CIP project number T-07, account number 760-0000-1625-0000.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Santos?
Aye.
Councilmember Fenn?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Yes.
Mayor Lara?
Yes. That brings us to action item 13, strategic communication update. Staff report by Mr. Todd Barton.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this report really is to respond to City Council requests for us to review what our communication processes are, to really, I think, address a concern as to the effectiveness of our communications, and to look at any potential adjustments or changes to their communication process we want to do. One of the things we'd like to do tonight is really introduce you to what we're doing today and how that outreach works, and then to walk you through our city website in particular, so we can kind of show you some highlights of what the website does, how it functions, and then to let you quiz us. It's like, what would you like us to try to do with the website tonight? Is kind of an example of different things we can do. So we'll actually be bringing up that website here in a little bit. So I'd like to just make a couple of opening comments. The platform that we're going to describe tonight was really put together through the efforts of 2 people with the city. Ms. Ashley Starr, Public Information Officer, has developed the new website, has implemented many of the messaging programs for the city as a whole. Ms. Mercedes Cashmere, who now oversees a coordinated public information effort, has put together our PD communications, our PD website, has continuously and proactively addressed all public safety and other elements, as well as it being involved in emergency response, and then building other programs such as animal control and animal licensing, and then doing everything else that the chief asked her to do. So we have 2 amazing people that have done all this work in addition to the balance of everything else that's going on. So just a lot of kudos to them. So we have a pretty rich array of messaging platforms that are out there. And we're really targeting proactive and reactive messaging. So what are the things that are critical we need to communicate, and how are we most effectively able to communicate? And then what is going on within the community? How do we monitor some of those other communication platforms, social media, those types of things out in the community, to be able to analyze those and provide factual response when we think it may be appropriate to address rumors or to address misinformation that may be of critical import to the city. The communication pieces that our staff has put together really are centered around the information that we have with regard to how our citizens engage and access information within the community, because we're trying to meet the citizens where they are. Ms. Starr, one of her major projects last year was to conduct or to facilitate a community survey. And it is a community livability survey that was put together by the National Research Center. The results of that survey, when we asked the question of how do you engage in the community, you know, if you look at the top 4 or 5 methods that people try to access information, what we found out is that 95% get information via their email. And so that's from home. 91% get their information via cell phone, internet information on the cell phone. 79% visit local media sites like Facebook. When you look at the other means by which citizens least engage is through contacting officials. I know for y'all it may feel like way more than 11%, but 11% of our survey respondents said that they contact you guys. 13% campaign or advocate, and 22% either attend a local meeting or watch a meeting. So those were the least used methods that people engage with the community. And then we also show that 47% of our respondents have contacted the city for help or for information. So nearly half have had to do that. The mission of our communication operations really is as simple as getting critical information out, trying to do that in a timely way, and then in addition to that, providing platforms where citizens can have a quick access back to the city to express concern or to request that the city address different things, potholes, things like that. Some of the current messaging platforms that we utilize, one is tangible information. So when we attend an event, we may set up a booth at a community event, and there will be flyers, handouts of various different types of information that are available. So we take advantage of that. We've got the city website, which allows us to push information and to pull information back in that process. It allows you to conduct basic operations like submitting building permit applications to paying your wastewater bill. So we've provided a lot of opportunities like that. Social media, and Ms. Mercedes will actually give you a good overview of what those social media platforms are looking like. One of the things that we find with social media is that it's evolving. So as capacities and features are growing through some of those social media platforms, we're able to utilize that. As new platforms have evolved, Facebook does something different than Twitter. It does something different than Instagram. So depending on what we're trying to communicate, utilizing the right asset to be able to get that communication out and to respond back. And then we have our traditional communication platforms. So press releases, mayor messages. We have the Mayor's Monday message that is being produced and goes out. So we have those things. The issue with press releases is they're also going out to traditional media outlets as well. So as we are pushing information, it's going out through our website, through our social media outlets, as well as through those other pieces. We've also implemented several citizen-initiated communication options. So obviously, you can come by in person and address things, but we have public access to allow customers to engage with city staff. So phone calls, emails. We have a web portal that has certain features and amenities that are available to be able to provide that. In terms of responsive communications, we do monitor various social media apps as well as incoming emails. We get phone calls into our staff on a variety of issues, and so that allows us to be able to analyze what's going on, what's happening, to anticipate and then to be able to develop messaging and responses that may be appropriate to whatever's there. Of course, the environment is going to continue to evolve and change, and there are additional future communications strategies that we're looking to deploy today. And I'm sure there'll be additional things that are going to come up in the future with regard to the way we want to communicate. One of the key things that we're working on right now is a new app, a mobile phone app. So you'll be able to upload that to your phone. You'll be able to get push notices and be able to do all the things that you want to do from your phone, even to the point of reporting concerns or problems and things like that. And another thing that we're looking at is, for example, the production that we are looking at that will provide an overview of our CIP projects, our primary CIP projects, and how they contribute to the vision of the community. The idea is to have a product that would have a lifespan of about 2 years. So we develop it in a digital and a hard copy format that we can distribute out in various mediums that help also to communicate what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what the benefit to the community will be moving forward. There may be additional projects that you want to pick up year to year where we bring in an outside professional communications firm and PR firms to help us prepare that messaging and get that out. So that's how we're developing the CIP piece right now. We've got staff coordinating back with professionals that develop those materials. So we're working on that. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mercedes to walk us through some of those social media platforms, and then we'll turn over to Nicole and we'll bring up the website and we'll go to town.
So currently the city uses social media, which actually, based on studies, at least 50% of the global nation or global world uses some form of social media. Because of that, a lot of government agencies have utilized social media to be able to communicate directly with residents. It's a two-way communication method that can be used to both convey messages to the public as well as interact and engage your residents on the flip side. So we have Facebook, which is probably our primary social media application for our city, our demographic. Facebook tends to get about the 25-year-olds to even the 70-year-olds. So you get a wide range of age as far as people who utilize Facebook. Facebook, the platform allows you to use videos, photographs, text. You can put pretty much as much text as you want. Any length of videos, any amount of photos as well. Allows the residents to comment, direct message the city to ask questions, and the city can respond. We also use Instagram. Instagram is another form of social media. However, Instagram is more photo-based. So there is text that you can provide with a photo, but most of it is photo. So when people are going through, they're just looking at the pictures that provide. If they don't understand what the picture's conveying, they'll read the messaging that goes along with it. Primarily Instagram for the city and both the police department is PR related to showcase what we're doing out in the community, how we're servicing our residents, great things, great stories that we want to share and we want the public to be able to see. That demographic tends to be a little bit younger. We also utilize Twitter. So Twitter is specialized in the fact that you're limited on your characters that you can use. So you get about 124 characters that you can use in a Twitter post. So it's very limited. You have to really convey your message very short and sweet. A lot of media utilize Twitter to be able to figure out what's going on in cities. Some crisis communications, important news goes out through Twitter. And you can also share photos. You can also share short videos through Twitter as well. The city also utilizes Nextdoor. What's unique about Nextdoor is it is an app-based program.
So some people who prefer not to be on social media, as far as Facebook and Instagram and such, are often willing to use Nextdoor. We found with Nextdoor, they tend to be a little bit older demographic. Some of the 55 plus communities are very active within Nextdoor. The nice thing also about Nextdoor is you can directly reach residents where they are. They have to verify that they live at the address that they're at, and that's done through a mailing process. So they have to verify who they are and that they actually live in the city. This is great because we can communicate directly with communities. So if we wanted to reach out for an issue happening within Solera or Four Seasons or Sundance, we can reach those residents directly through a message straight to them, or we can message to the citywide. And you know, versus Facebook where you're publishing to anyone in the world, really, at least on Nextdoor, you're really directly reaching our residents. And we have a good subscription base in there. We've about 57% of households are represented through Nextdoor. In addition to that, the police department has an agreement with Ring. So if you're familiar with Ring cameras, when you purchase a Ring product, you automatically get enrolled in their Neighbors app. The Neighbors app is also available to residents for free, or users for free from their phones. They can download the app and participate in the Neighbors app. But they get alerts about crime and safety and other issues going on within the city. And then the police department can also post safety incidents, event information, and other things into the Ring app as well. Communicate with residents. It's more on an anonymous basis through that, but we can post requests for videos and things that might help with investigations. So those are the primary social media. Like the city manager was saying, social media communication is constantly evolving. There's several other social media apps out there, and we're not opposed to looking at some of those, but right now these are the primary that our community is using and engaging on, and if you had any questions about it, I'd be happy to answer.
Nicole, do we have any public comment on this item?
If no public comments. Carrie, do we have anyone on the line?
No callers on the line.
Okay. Then we'll open it up for council discussion and questions. Okay. Yeah, can you do that? That way we can, while you're doing that, we'll ask questions.
Here's the main website, and I'll just kind of scroll through it to start. You guys can prompt me for any questions or, questions that you hear. So here's our main buttons here. Notify me, Parks and Recreation, meetings and agendas, report a concern, employment, pay a bill. Do you want me to go through each button and kind of show highlights of what the main ones do?
Yeah, I think so. And the key issue on the Notify Me, that's one of the critical pieces that we have, because you can actually click on, you can subscribe to the city, and then you'll be able to receive various pieces of information that you may be interested, from agendas to special community events to special activities. So you can get various pieces of notification via email or text. So that's probably one of the most critical pieces that we have when you look at those main buttons. But if you could kind of highlight some of the other ones, and then I think we'll need to focus in also on the report and issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So these are all the listed topics that people can choose, and you can choose to get an email or you can get a text message, or both. The only thing you have to do is put your email address to confirm your email. It's a two-step process, so it sends you an email to confirm, and then you can come in at any time and toggle between the different topics or alerts. You can turn them off if it's something you're not interested in any longer, vice versa. to be able to report a concern. So this would be a citizen who comes across a pothole. You would go here. Normally it gives you a button that asks if you would like the website to use your location. If in doing so, then it hones in. So I've clicked allow so that we've kind of narrowed into Beaumont here. So we go here to put in an address. So it took me straight to City Hall after putting in the address. I'll kind of zoom out so you can see it. So once you're here, you can kind of adjust. Maybe it's not at City Hall. Maybe there's a pothole in front of City Hall. Or maybe in the intersection over here. So if I press the intersection here, it just gives me the closest address. And I can create a request. Then from here, you can choose which kind of request. So I'm going to go down to streets and potholes. And then they ask for a email, phone number, name. So there's a point of contact, so if there's any question. So I'm just going to put test here. So I don't mess anything up. People are going to look for a pothole tomorrow.
Oh, don't wait one.
You can add an attachment, a photo. You hit next, and then there's a request summary here, and then you just hit submit. So it gives you a request number, and that creates a ticket, and then it routes to the correct staff to close out the ticket once it's corrected.
Go ahead, Councilmember Martinez.
So at this point, is it, for the resident, would they have a way to get a follow-up? Do they have to put that in their request, or is that automatic, or how does it work to see if it's good? So a lot of people put that in and they want to know if it's done, so how would they get a call back or message back to say, hey, it's complete? Or is that possible?
Well, this system right now, and we're in the process of updating that. If you come through this portal, then there isn't an automatic feedback. So staff then has to take that additional step with that contact information to try to follow back up with that individual.
Can you put that in your description when you type, please?
You sure can, yes. The other aspect, though, is if they call in and they come through our customer service counter, or those phone calls are handled through there, they generate an email, send it to the departments, and then that typically will then create a follow-up. So it depends on that component.
The biggest concern I've had with residents when they've had the prior system is that they would put in a request and they wouldn't know if it happened, or they might see it still there, you know, weeks later, and they want to follow up. And that's what I heard quite a bit from complaints about residents. So I put it in, it's still there, or are they working on it, or can you find out? And that's why I asked that question. So for now, just have them put in the little type, please follow up.
Follow-up requested, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll try that.
For sure. And then if you go to the actual mobile site, when you pull that up, you can actually on your phone, hit the point on the map and then upload images that way. So it's a little bit more efficient on your cell phone even.
Okay, all right, I'll let that know. And that's a big improvement from the old notify me. Because I went there a few times and put graffiti just to see, and oh boy. So think that's nice.
One of the things that we're looking at too, that drop-down menu of issues that you saw in that first item, we're evaluating that to decide, is that really hitting the key points of interest that somebody in the community may have? And the reason why we listed those out is so we can make sure that those are routed to the right individuals and departments so they don't get lost.
One benefit to the account that you were speaking to is that was a fairly quick process, and it didn't require a sign-in versus, so there's plus and minuses.
Can I follow up on what Councilor Martinez on putting ideas in there? And is it possible to put a automatic answers or a response that we have within 24 hours or 48 hours, we will respond on this or will be taken care of? I don't know the verbiage on that or the proper language, and I'm just giving you idea right now. If we could do that, so our residents or our citizens knows that we will do it within 48 hours or 72 hours, not 30 days. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so that will build up more confidence on our citizens on that. And just like to follow up on that. I mean, if we could do that, that would be a good program for us.
Okay, I will hit, I'll do pay a bill because that's a popular navigation tool here. So this is the online payment system to pay your sewer bill. So there's two options here, quick pay, no login required, or there is a login where it'll show you your account history and payment history. Down below these quick buttons here is the city spotlight. So these are all of the press releases and events that are coming up. There's a carousel to show the additional. Down below that we have news and events. So this is the calendar. It shows the more recent events over here. You can also click view all. And it gives you a more robust list.
I'm sorry, Nicole, I missed, what item did you click on to get this?
This is just on the main page. So all I did was just scroll down to news and events, and then to get the more robust list, I hit view all. And then at the bottom of the page, there's contact information, there's additional quick links, and then all of our different platforms here. I can take you to construction projects, because that's always a hot topic. People want to know what's going on, what's being built, the status. So we have them all listed over here on the left-hand side. So I can click. Looking to see if we had Stewart Park here. We do. So it gives an update. They've uploaded the staff reports here, the conceptual plan. We have Pennsylvania. All with links to be able to get to factual documents. Then up at the top, we have the big menus. There's community, kind of shows all of the different community events. Visiting Beaumont, city events are listed here, recreation. In government, we have all of the different departments, council, election, committees and commissions. Under business, this is more business resources. Talks about our chamber, gives data, resources. Under city services, everything that customer service can provide and beyond. Alerts, notifications, this is where CFDs, Millaroo's information is. Street sweeping services. Then over here under how do I, this is applying for business license, dog license, contact the various districts and entities within the city. Again, another spot to report public service request, online police reports. notifications. I'll show you too, our search bar up here is pretty good. I put in a yard sale permit. So someone not really sure where to go within the website, just wants to know how to do a yard sale permit. And it's the first thing that comes up. And it takes you right to it. So you really don't have to know how to navigate within the website to really get to what you're looking for. What was one that I typed in earlier? It took me straight to the police department.
Yard sale permits and.
Oh, it was dog license.
Yes.
So I put dog license in. And it takes me to the Beaumont Police Department page.
That one says you can apply online. Did you have the option with the yard permit to do online as well? Or just I just saw the PDF there?
You know, I don't know what the process is for a yard sale. Yard sales are a application. I believe you have to turn it in. I could be wrong. It could be via email also. Anything else I can navigate around? Any questions that you've heard or?
Yeah, if you have, some of the questions I get are regarding graffiti, that we're not taking care of that. So how do you, just say, for example, Three Rings Ranch has graffiti on, I don't know, one of the water meters or the,
So to report graffiti, I'll go to report a concern. Depending on where it's at, you can do an intersection, or we can try Three Rings Ranch Road in Beaumont. I'm going to zoom out. And depending on where it is, you can select a spot closest to where it is, create a request, and graffiti should be an option. So there is, it's actually in here twice. We're so concerned, we've put it in. oh, never mind. General request, sorry. There it is.
okay.
And from a mobile phone, you could take a picture of the item that has a graffiti on it and upload it. So most people, that's what they use is a mobile phone. So while you're out and you see it, you could take a photo of where it's at in addition to locating it as far as location. And then once they see the photo, they can see where the graffiti is located.
Because one thing I was looking around when I was doing that, but I was doing it on a laptop, I don't think we have addresses for all of our parks, do we?
Some of them, no, do not have formal addresses.
I would think if possible, I'd like to look into addressing all of our parks and maybe having those listed somewhere where somebody can point to it or at least, or type in. Because one of the other things that I try to do, I forget the name of the park we were gonna go to do a pop-up in the park.
Mm-hmm.
And I had trouble locating it. I had to, kind of Google and look to see, to get directions, because you couldn't pull up the address and Google map it or whatever.
So Nicole, you can go back to the front page because we do have facilities on the home page, the Parks and Recreation tab. You can get information about where the parks are.
Can you?
Yes. So click on facilities. So there's a list of facilities with addressing right there on that page.
So it looks like just intersections
And
and
if you
streets for some of them.
Click on like Rengel Park, for instance. It'll give you a little bit more information and a map of where it's located at.
Gonna do a newer one, just to see.
And you could even do a search in the search bar and look for Rengel Park, and it should pull up that facility list with the additional information. and
Type in
mapping.
Three Rings Ranch Park for me, up in the search bar, please.
So it comes up with renovations, update, specific plan,
Right there.
and then here's some information.
Okay.
So it'll list it by the most recent items, so if there were staff reports or council items that were more recent than the entry of the facility, that's how you'll get the feedback on the search.
So it does show only the cross street, not specifically the address.
Three Rings Ranch doesn't have an address.
Yeah, that's
so,
what I'm saying,
yes.
I mean, because he's asking for the address of
Yes.
the thing. So we don't have that, what we have is the cross street,
Mhm.
which just makes sense, I mean, you know, okay.
Nicole, can you go back to that page with three rings? If you click on that location icon on the left of that picture, does that take you to a map?
Yes.
Yeah, let me click on exactly that button. That doesn't work. You do have to click
Okay.
on the hyperlink,
And it shows you some of the amenities.
but there is a map over here.
Amenities at the park as well.
So it'll take you to an external site, Google, Yahoo, or Bing, for
Okay.
better map.
That's helpful.
So
Councilmember
in
Payne?
reference to the parks, then if somebody was interested in reserving it, I saw that comment on there, would they need just to make a phone call or could they reserve it online?
So I believe there is a way for them to reserve it
I
online.
just
Nicole.
saw available to rent.
Is that a clickable link under the features?
Let's see. I'm in facilities. Might not be
That's
on
just,
this
that's
page,
just a
but-
list there, that's not clickable links for available to rent and so forth. That was it.
So if you go back to the Parks and Rec section, I think
Yeah.
there's a.
Let me get to the main Parks and Recs page.
Okay.
And then here you can do other facilities. And then this is where you can,
Reserve a room or reserve a park or, okay, very good.
yes.
Okay.
Mayor, if I might just add, Beaumont Rec Desk is a rather new program that we purchased about 6 months ago. It does tell you availability, however, you do need to go through the Chatney Center in order to actually secure the room or the park, depending on what amenity you're looking for.
I clicked on calendar up above because it looks like it's all filled in for each facility and what's going on.
Mr. Mayor, I've got a couple other questions.
go ahead.
Okay. So, having my real estate hat on, and oftentimes I hear questions, when people move, somebody new comes to the city, could we potentially do a link at the top to say new to Beaumont, and then and then if they click on that, it'll give them a general rundown? And in particular, what I'm referring to is, how do they find the schools and enroll their kids in schools? How do they set up the utilities? How do they know that it's now Waste Management, not the city of Beaumont handling trash, and so forth? Because looking back at 2008 when the market crashed, we had a lot of bank-owned properties and listing agents from outside of the area. Nobody knew who did the utilities. And so oftentimes, I had seen, and I'm sure the city saw this, that there were liens against the property for unpaid sewer and trash bills, and that they wouldn't get cleaned up until we actually closed escrow and it was paid at that point. And so, and issues with transfers between tenants and so forth, that not even all the landlords know who's to pay for trash and all that. Could we have a general, link at the top to say new to Beaumont, here are your utilities, and even if it's just a list of here's the website for Beaumont Cherry Valley, water district, here's the website for the school district, here's the website for the gas company, power, you know, and so forth,
So
here's waste
that's
management.
Under How Do I, and there are links to all of those. We could possibly change the name so it's more clear. It says contact, and then you've got chamber, library district, school district, recreation and parks district, waste management and water district. So you can click straight into their websites from How Do I, which is
Okay.
the top, up at the top. So we could possibly rename that.
I like the how do I, but just I guess if somebody was new, I mean, they could probably figure it out by doing that. They didn't realize the waste management was on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of like a welcome, like a welcome
Yeah, like a
page.
welcome to Beaumont, it's just a welcome to Beaumont. And even if it was just a simple page they can click on, and all it has is bullet points to say, welcome to Beaumont, here's our services, here's who you need to contact. And then they can, I mean, most people are internet intuitive these days, and the younger the generation, the better it is, and that tends to be who's moving to Beaumont. But at the same time, if we do have a senior move in, if they can find a quick spot on the website, then they know where to go from there. At least somebody's telling them something, you know. So that was just general comments and general questions, so.
Can I interject on that? I mean, on the real estate side, I think we have that kind of system on our system, because we do use that. I mean, every time there's who comes in, and I know we will give that list or link to the new people, new tenant, to a new in town, and they could click that and they come in. I mean,
So
I don't have the
if you go through to the search, Nicole, you can go search Welcome to Beaumont, and there's actually a PDF document that
Yeah.
has exactly what you're asking for,
yeah.
which has all the contact information for chamber, library, police department, transit, post office, Southern California Edison. So right there. So we could possibly move that to link right there,
Yeah,
and then they can just link from that How Do I, and have it labeled welcome, to Beaumont, and they can click on that and access that PDF.
That would be sufficient, that would work, yeah. And so you're saying, so I understand it correctly, they click on how do I, and then under that, then just one link that says welcome to Beaumont, it could take them to that PDF.
Yes.
That works.
Can I interject also? I mean, information, and all the waste management and everything. I mean, if you bring out your trash, they will pick it up, and because of the health department and everything. So you paid or not, they will pick it up on that. So that's a piece of information, but the public must not. But I just like to interject that.
And one thing is our solid waste manager is working with Waste Management now to put together some customer information to let people know, here are the services that are offering, here's the services that are included in your current monthly rate, then here are the additional services with, what those rates could potentially be. So they're working on some information like that to get out.
Well, in fact, we are on social media, we have Waste Management Wednesdays. So we're highlighting those services that Waste Management provides to the citizens through those Wednesday posts. So last week, I believe, was Sharps. The week before was bulky pickups. So we are highlighting those things to help educate the residents on the services the city provides.
Yeah.
That's great. So then it reminded me then one more question. Back to the reporter problem. Is one of those drop-down menus dump trash and so forth? If somebody's found a mattress on the side of the road, they can
Yes.
report that is that one of the drop-down choices?
Yes, it is. There's litter, and then there's also, if you went to street maintenance, so if there's something dropped on the street, sidewalks, you can report all that there.
Okay, all right, super, thank you.
Nicole, kind of going with I think one of the public comments we got, I think it was last meeting. How do I report somebody with illegal fireworks?
I don't believe it is.
I don't think, I
So
don't
if you go
see
to the
one.
PD side, you can report a concern on the PD side. There's a form that allows you to report pretty much anything to the PD, and that comes in on an email distribution list, and depending on what it is, we route it out to whoever's appropriate to deal with that. So if it's dispatch related, we can send it to dispatch. They can have a patrol officer respond. If it's something just general questioning, then it can go to a sergeant or a lieutenant or even myself to respond as far as, from a public information standpoint.
Okay, so if we could, under the report of concern, maybe put a link to want to report a firework, that way it puts you over to the PD side? If that's,
Sure.
that's possible.
And does that go real time then? So when the email kicks out, is that only gonna, will staff only see that during business hours, or does that go to the dispatch office?
So it goes,
Goes to chief?
It goes to my entire command staff and Mercedes
yes.
instantly.
Oh.
So I see every.
So then you just filter out, is this an emergency, or is this, or is this something I can handle during business hours?
Yes.
Right, because there's a police manager on call 24/7 in the city.
Okay.
Thank you. That's great.
Is on the city's homepage, is there a link directly to the PD's page?
Yes.
Okay,
Right at the bottom, the quick links, there's police department right there,
okay.
Or
as
it's
well as at the
even-
top under departments.
Is that where your cell number's posted, chief?
It's 911.
Can I, Mayor?
Sure, go ahead.
On, since we're talking about PD, do we have a, we have a program right now, the Academy?
Citizens
If
Academy?
if I click it in there, does it shows the Academy, especially the training? I'm more on the training on this. Is it shows in there? I mean, the time?
Does it show so it gives information about when the academy is, where it's located,
correct,
how
that
to apply. Yes, not the specific course material. That's
my
something
next question, though, would
we're
be.
presenting individually to the people that subscribe to it. So, we had discussed whether or not to make that a virtual program or not.
Okay,
There's some sensitive information that we share
okay.
in those meetings, so it's really not appropriate in an online type format. The key to the Citizens Academy is to make relationships with the citizens that come into that meeting, and you lose a little bit of that when you go virtual, right? So if someone can sit at home
Right.
and tune in, they've got kids in the background, they're cooking dinner, whatever, so they're not really engaging. So you really need that face-to-face to be able to have those conversations and demonstrations because it's interactive. We do have some demonstrations. Last night was our first night. We did a station tour. So we walked them through the station, showed them dispatch center, our briefing room, all those things, and you lose some of that doing that virtually, and we really want to engage with those people in person.
That's great.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Finn?
Nicole, could you go back to the how do I link? And in particular, if someone were to click on that and say, how do I, and if they want, their intent is to do business in Beaumont, will that then take them to maybe perhaps the Economic Development Committee information or the business license? So, sorry, I
Yes,
was looking
so-
at my notes as you clicked on it. So you went,
So I clicked on how do I?
okay, and then,
There's resource directory, but you're wanting more of.
I'm
if
wondering,
somebody wanted to
yeah,
open
perhaps could
business?
we have a link there, so on that page where it says, how do I, and you have document center, notify me, and so forth. Perhaps how do I, and then the caption would read, do business in Beaumont.
I think business has its own section, so I'm gonna click on it
Okay.
just to see if that
Yes.
solves it.
Because you click on that, you got business resources, the Chamber of Commerce.
So this is like choose
Okay, so I'm looking on the
Beaumont.
last, okay,
Okay, well, that was a bad choice.
You got data, retail market analysis, the community job fairs, various other resources. for-
okay, so it's
for
there, it
benefits.
just could use an update and some more info, okay.
And under the how do I, you can also link to business licensing, which gives you information on how to start a
Okay.
business in the city and takes you to the business licensing page.
So with that box highlighted that pops up, that's just hovering over business, correct? And all this
Yes.
comes up?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect.
So
And then the
retail
Beaumont Chamber of Commerce
market.
is on there too? Okay, good,
Yeah.
okay.
Retail market analysis.
Okay, so then my last suggestion would be to just, if we can ask each department just to double check their stuff to see if there's no dead links and the website, you know, that sort of stuff?
So we are going through a website refresh right now. We just had a photographer out this last week with both police department and city hall. So we're going to be updating some photos. We're going to be going page by page, looking at content, figuring out if it's current, checking links, updating anything that, you know, is outdated or no longer applicable. So we're in the process of doing that. As soon as we get those photos, that will lead to the kickoff to update a lot of that stuff. So if you do have any suggestions, feel free to pass it on to the city manager and we'll take a look and see how we can fit that in.
Okay. Councilmember Martinez.
And Nicole, do we have our meetings archived on there? People ask to see prior meetings, and I just usually just say search them on YouTube, but are they just where the minutes are?
So we
And the
have
agenda.
meeting agendas here, which takes you to a separate portal. And then within that, it'll show all of them listed, or you can filter by council,
I just finally caught up to you.
EDC. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
So if you go to,
Yeah.
actually, so Nicole, if you can go to council, so then
I'll
his
go back
question would be
to-
then how do you find the link to watch the video, right?
So here on the main page is meetings and agenda, which is a separate portal. And then from there, it'll list all of the meetings, or you can filter by just council, you know, just planning commission. And then the agendas, and I update these every couple weeks to put in the minutes after they've been approved in the audio.
So if I can jump in, that's okay. So scroll up real quick to where we have the video icon, the first one that shows. So for example, then, so the planning commission, that video has been approved and is a clickable link then to go back and review it, correct?
Yes.
And then anything that has happened after that is yet to be approved and posted. But, so to Councilmember Martinez's comment, hey, go check the website, then they can go back, click on that link, and that'll take them to the YouTube video, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
We also have a city YouTube page that automatically, let me get to the main page. This is how I get to it. So I go down to YouTube here, takes you to the city YouTube page, and then all of the videos are here and archived.
There you go.
All right.
That's probably fastest. All right, thank you.
Awesome.
And you can subscribe too to YouTube and get a notification when those videos post.
There you go. Okay. Do you have direction that, or based on the suggestions that we've made, and then you've given us the opportunity to say, okay, if we have anything else, we'll contact Mr. Parton and let him know?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
That was
you.
very helpful. Okay. Brings us to item 14, set time and date and place for special workshop.
Good
Ms.
evening,
Jennifer
Mayor and
Eustace.
Council. City staff is requesting that the City Council establish the time, date, and place for a special workshop to discuss and give direction on the fiscal year 22-23 budget. Topics will include mission, vision, values of the City Council, review fiscal year 20 program survey results and current status, long-term financial forecast and core assumptions, and City Council priorities. Currently, staff is getting into the fiscal year 21 audit, and that's going to keep staff pretty busy through October. So preferably, we'd like to look at early to mid-November with the goal of trying to have the workshop before Thanksgiving. And there is a holiday within that time frame, which is Thursday, November 11th, just to throw that out there. So I'd like to give it back to you to talk about a time, date, and place for the special workshop.
Okay. Nicole, do we have any public comment on the special workshop?
I have no written comments. Carrie, do we have anyone on the line?
No callers on the line.
Okay. So council, special budget workshop? So we have the 23rd.
Is there, did I miss the week that we want to target or around the area we want to target?
Yeah, we were just looking for November to try to get it done before Thanksgiving. is what we're shooting for. So probably mid-November-ish. Would you like to do it Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah,
No,
I'm
thank
kind
you.
of
We
tied
could do
up
like
on
8
Saturday and
hours.
Sunday.
Yeah, we could do 8 hours nonstop.
I'm good with the 23rd, or I'm good with the 18th.
Would we normally be blacked out for
On
a
the
city
23rd.
council meeting on that day?
On the 23rd?
23rd, we don't have a bus.
Right, we're
Oh.
blocked out, right?
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's the fourth Tuesday.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
And is it a burden on staff if there is historically to staff
Are they off that?
are
That's
they
right.
out that week?
Oh,
I'd
no,
hate to
we're-
have it just to make staff go, man, I wanted to leave and now
yeah.
council made me show up.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
if
thanks a
you,
lot,
if you want
Councilmember
us,
Ken.
if you want us here, we're here.
Well, I know you'll say that.
Yeah.
I want the real reason.
You're the bosses. You tell us when we're gonna be here.
How long do you want?
How long do you expect the meeting to be?
It could, well, it just depends on you guys, but I would expect a couple, 3 hours, probably, you know, kind of standard workshop. It'll be so exciting, it's gonna feel like 5 minutes.
And.
I'm
18th
thinking
is-
18th as well.
Okay,
That's good for me.
Yeah, I'm
so
good with that.
18th at 8 AM?
No,
Nice try.
we're not all retired.
7:30? 7:30?
5?
That's not your nap time?
It is, but I'm willing to forego the nap and be
Okay.
here, just
If
because
you,
I'm gonna.
if you're willing to make that sacrifice, I'll be here at
I've, you know,
5.
I'll put my head in the strike zone, take one for the team, brother.
Actually, we do have a problem. A lot of your staff will be actually out touring PD with our design consultant that day.
Okay, on the 18th?
Yep. Yep.
What about the 17th? Both those days?
Yeah, it's
Thanks.
not good for us.
Thanks,
Sorry.
Chief.
So the 17th is no good either?
Yeah, so 17th and 18th, yeah, thank you, Chief, will be.
And is this, should this be a meeting? I'm in the evening, I mean?
I think
don't know
that's,
typically if workshops, if they've had a,
how about the 15th at 4 o'clock?
Monday?
Oh, it is?
The 8th is finance and audit.
15th, works?
15th?
15th at 5?
Oh, I have back-to-back meetings.
That's why I'm going 4 o'clock, and hopefully you won't keep us here till midnight.
I'll try not to ask any questions if you do.
I haven't asked any tonight, have I?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Councilmember Martinez.
Comes in bunches.
The 15th at 4?
I understand Mayor Laura makes a mean brisket, so he'll probably provide dinner.
Hey, if it goes into dinner time, he's buying, right?
Is that okay for council, 15th at 4 o'clock?
Yes. Far enough out, I'm good.
Yeah.
Going once, going twice?
On the 15th at 4, I'll be a little late because I get out at 3:45, I'll leave about 4:05.
Let's make it 4:30, because I do pick my son up by 4, so 4:30 would be better for me.
Yeah, I should be up for my nap by then, so yeah.
Okay.
So the 15th at 4:30. Does that work, Mr. Parton?
Yes, sir, it does.
Yeah?
Yes,
You
sir.
don't have a conflict there, sir? Oh, that's.
No, we're good.
4:30.
That's a,
Yeah, we need to be done by 5:30 because of Monday Night Football, right? Did I say it out loud? Sorry.
it'll be the Raiders again, don't worry about it.
Oh, man, thanks. I walked into that one. Okay, so, special budget workshop, Monday, November 15th at 4:30. Be there, be square.
Thank
All
you.
right. So that moves us to action item 15. Approval of Assembly Bill 361 and its amendments to Government Code Section 54953 regarding the use of teleconferencing to conduct public meetings. Staff report by Ms. Nicole Wheelwright.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Assembly Bill 361 361 was recently signed by Governor Newsom with an effective date of October 1st. This bill provides exemptions to the Brown Act procedures conducting public meetings with the use of teleconferencing. Typically, the Brown Act has a process and procedure for the use of teleconferencing that includes giving the public access to the teleconference location, posting notices at that location, and then also requiring a quorum to be in person in council chambers. What AB 361 does is it gives exemptions to these rules during the declared state of emergency. So prior to this bill, the city was able to conduct teleconference and hybrid public meetings under an executive order, but since then that order has expired. So in order for a local agency to be able to use the provisions provided by AB 361, the agency must determine by majority vote that meeting in person would present imminent risk to health or safety of attendees, and adopt a resolution stating such, with a maximum period of 30 days. Then thereafter, on a 30-day basis, the city council could then consider the continuance of the teleconference public meetings by way of resolution after a reevaluation of the state of emergency circumstances and then with specific findings. So if council would like to consider the continuance of teleconference public meetings, staff recommends that council discuss and determine the risk to health and safety of attendees and adopt the attached resolution stating such. And then within the staff report is kind of a breakdown showing the differences between the Brown Act and what these provisions allow. But basically, it's just a mechanism to be able to continue hybrid meetings. And I can answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Do we have any public comment on this item?
I have no written comments. Carrie, do we have anyone on the line?
No callers on the line, Nicole.
Okay, so with that, I'll open it up for council discussion.
Mayor, I have a question.
Mayor Pro Tem White.
So can you, again, review the part where we're supposed to vote on whether or not we think meeting in person is an imminent threat?
So
Or imminent risk, I guess.
the requirement states that a majority vote would be that meeting in person would present imminent risk to health or safety of attendees. And that's pulled directly from the bill specifically. So it would have to be that finding in order to initiate the resolution. And then thereafter, every 30 days, another resolution would be presented to council, and there would be a reevaluation of the state of emergency circumstances. And then the findings that are provided that have to be found in order to approve the resolution are that the legislative body has reconsidered the circumstances of the state of emergency, and any of the following circumstances exist. 1, the state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of the members to meet safely in person, and 2, state or local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing. So if those findings can be found, then you can renew every 30 days.
Mr. Pinckney, with every issue that we've been asked to consider over the last year and a half regarding emergency declarations, what we do in place of that, came with, or at least was perceived to come with, punishments or penalties or loss of funds from the state or federal government regarding assistance, things like that. In this case, I think it would be hard to argue that we believe meeting in person is an imminent, I don't know exactly what the words they use there, imminent risk. And, I think that the fact that we are meeting in person and we are doing it at this point, if we don't approve that, if we don't vote, a majority vote that we believe that meeting in person does provide the state's imminent considerations. What impact does that have on our ability to continue to operate our meetings as we have?
Well, I think it limits your options and the flexibility, and so you're gonna go back to the old way that the Brown Act worked, and that means you're gonna have to post a notice at the location of the meetings. Only a quorum of the council will have to be present. You're gonna have to agendize when somebody's on the council attending remotely, so it's gonna go back to the old way. And, you know, the benefit of this is that we're sitting in a room where we're imposing social distancing. I mean, we're still doing that. We don't have the public come in and sit in the room, and we don't know what lies ahead. I mean, this whole process has been a sort of work your way through it kind of process dealing with COVID. And, you know, it seems like just when you think you're past the worst of it, something, you know, some other variant or something comes up. So this would give you the flexibility if you adopt the resolution and you make the findings, which I think most agencies or many agencies will do, just because it gives the council the flexibility to hold the meetings remotely or semi-remotely, as opposed to going back to the old way of doing things.
But that flexibility is primarily for council members to meet remotely. In other words, if we decide, or if we don't approve by a majority vote, it doesn't stop us from providing the remote access through emails and call-ins and, you know, people doing what they're doing now. It just impacts our ability to be able to Zoom in from home and not have to go through all the special requirements that the full Brown Act requires.
I think that's primarily correct. I believe you could still offer to let people phone in, but if you're going to, you know, there are certain rules that apply under 361. So for example, if you're gonna allow people to attend remotely and make public comments remotely, you have to keep the public comment period on an item open till the end of the item. So it would be, you know, to get back to your question, I think you could let people attend by phone.
But I think we're keeping the public comment period open for, I mean, I don't think we've ever had an item where someone said, I'd like to make a public comment, and we say, well, sorry, we're closed.
Right. I mean, maybe it's a technicality with respect to the city of Beaumont, because the city has been, and the council's been really good about letting people comment, even if public comment's closed, but you just won't close it. You'll keep the item open if you adopt 361. But, I mean, the bottom line is it gives you a lot more flexibility, and if there is any uncertainty with what lies ahead in this pandemic, it'll give you the ability to continue to meet, to continue to function, and to do it remotely, even if you all can't be here. So.
But if we find, say tonight we don't pass a majority vote with that finding, then there's nothing stopping us from 30 days passing a majority vote if something has changed.
Correct. You can do it at any point.
We can go both ways.
I mean, technically, you're doing it tonight, because the emergency order.
We're doing what tonight?
Well, you're having a meeting pursuant to 361 tonight, and then you have 30 days to adopt the resolution after your first meeting under 361, because we're essentially allowing this meeting to be, we're not allowing all of the public in here. We're allowing public comments virtually.
If we do, here's the problem, the conflict that I have is I don't think it is an imminent risk for us to continue to operate the way we are operating, and I don't believe it's been at least a number of months before one of us were Zooming from home.
If I could just add another factor, because it's not just council meetings, it's any Brown Act meeting. So this also affects Planning Commission and your committee meetings. And a majority of those members do Zoom in. They're not attending in person.
Yeah, the way the resolution is set up, it refers to legislative bodies, so that would we're interpreting that to apply not only to the council, but all the committees are legislative bodies as defined under the Brown Act, and so it would apply to them as well.
So since we're discussing this, let me ask you a question that's somewhat related to the remote meetings. I get frustrated with the remote meetings that I'm in and other agencies that I serve on their boards because you have elected officials who are zooming in but putting up their background, their static picture, and who knows if they're even there. And I don't think we've ever had that issue. I don't think if any of us have ever Zoomed that we were not on camera for Zooming on camera. I have a serious problem with that on other agencies that, who knows what they're doing when the camera's off as far as texting other members of the board, things like that. So,
Well, I think that's a legitimate observation. It's not really the topic here tonight, but it's a legitimate observation, especially if you're having a quasi judicial hearing where you're acting essentially as a judicial body and you're hearing evidence and you have an obligation to be attentive, paying attention, awake, present. And so if somebody's just if they're on the legislative body and they've got just a photo and it's a quasi judicial hearing, for example, that could be a potential problem for the agency.
okay. All right, thank you.
Any other discussions?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Finn.
I do like the idea of offering the remote capability for people to join in. Being a member of two committees of Economic Development and Finance and Audit, I think we get good attendance with those members logging in remotely. I think as in general, they've been disciplined enough too that our folks are doing that, but like Mayor Pro Tem White has pointed out, I've been on other agencies and other districts' meetings. I even saw one individual driving in his car while he was on the meeting, and he was a director. So to that, I like the idea of still offering that. And even to the point, or through the pandemic, if one of us are slightly feeling ill or got a sore throat, the first thing I'm gonna do is stay home and go on the Zoom meeting. And I'm not gonna put myself or anybody else at risk in doing so. And so if you end up self-quarantining for any reason, you might be out for a couple of weeks, and it's just easier to do that without forcing the issue. I think back of prior to COVID, a lot of employees, oh man, I'm limited on sick days, I'm not feeling so hot, but I gotta go to work. And they go to work and get everybody sick. Now it's retrained the public to say, you're sick, stay home. But they may be well enough and cognizant enough to be able to want to and be willing to participate in those meetings to make that happen. Mayor Pro Tem White brings out a very important issue, and I think this council has been good about it. We can social distance, we can show up, we can be responsible, and we behave accordingly when we have our meetings. But I don't want to take that away from the public by doing so. But I also don't think that it's such a risk to have to state that every 30 days, oh, it's a risk, so we have to continue to do so. I love the form that we set up, and I've even shared it with other agencies to say, do you have the technical expertise to model what the city of Beaumont is doing? Because then we are including everybody and making it possible for everybody to participate in the meeting. Whether they show up one person at a time, or they call in, or the Zoom. And then we have a little bit of delay waiting for things to connect, not a problem. I don't want to have to say, hey, I think it's a risk, so therefore we're doing it, but I want to continue the way we're doing it.
Understood.
So that's my comments.
No, I agree. Councilmember?
Yeah, just a quick comment. So I think for the fact that those other committees need to Zoom, I think we have to stay with it for a little longer. You know, I understand the reading of the wording is, debatable. But, for the reason that we've stated, I think we really need to just keep it going for a little bit more and keep our fingers crossed we can get out of it. So I'm ready to see people back and so forth. But that's my comment.
Thank you.
If I could add one more thing too. This bill is only applicable in a declared state of emergency. So it falls within this time frame. So just to kind of give it some sort of relevance to the timing of it. And then also, I lost my thought. I'll come back to it if I think of it,
Okay.
sorry.
Thank you for the additional information, Nicole, especially bringing up the other committees that do attend via Zoom, because I was listening
Oh,
to
to
Mayor
speak,
Pro Tem
I know
White.
what it was, to speak
Go ahead.
to, if there's any concern regarding, like you were saying with other committees, they're not showing their screen or showing participation. I know a lot of cities have started implementing policies to go along with this, to kind of have rules and regulations for teleconferencing, kind of best practices and etiquette. So we can adopt something also just to ensure that everybody is, participating.
I think, and I appreciate that, Nicole, very much. I think I don't believe that we have that issue, at least with the committees with the city of Beaumont. However, I think if that does come up, we may need to look at modifying our resolution at some point to include that, to make sure that any virtual attendance is done in person without picture or the blank screen.
Yeah, so my
Sorry,
que-
I'll come back to you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Finn?
So if we had to go back to in person and keep the social distancing requirement and then still be able to broadcast the meeting, do we have the technical expertise here in the building or in this room to have additional members of those committees and have a seat and a computer and a microphone for everybody involved?
So we have conducted a larger meeting. EDC is the largest committee that we have. It is difficult with 6 feet of distance to be able to have all of the members in here. But we added these desks here. We have some here. I have laptops, and the only issue I run into is when one of the committee members wants to speak, they would have to use the podium mic, sitting here.
Okay, and then on those meetings, I choose just to stay home. It's easier on Zoom, so if I were to show up, then that's just one more person to have to account for. Okay. All right, so I was just wondering logistically if we did, not that we'd be changing now, but if the state of emergency was over and but still had this social distance, would that still fall under the state of emergency then? I don't know. I would think it would be
Cross
over
that
at that
bridge when we
state,
get
the
to
social
it.
distance would be over at
Yeah,
that point.
That'll be over.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know. Mayor Pro Tem White?
Yeah, I too want to thank you for bringing up the point about the other committees, and that has swayed my position. I don't think we need to worry about the emergency declaration. That's going to be in place for at least another 5 years. And so with that, I would like to make a motion to waive the full reading and adopt by title only a resolution of the City Council of the City of Beaumont proclaiming a local emergency, ratifying the proclamation of a state of emergency by Executive Order N-0921, and authorizing remote teleconference meetings of the legislative body of the City of Beaumont for the period of October 5th, 2021 through November 4th, 2021 pursuant to provisions of the Ralph M. Brown Act.
I'll second.
Councilmember Santos?
Aye.
Councilmember Fenn?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem White?
Yes.
Mayor Lara?
Yes. That brings us to legislative updates and discussion.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Just a brief update for you this evening. The legislature is still out of session, so I just wanted to update you on a few of the bills that the governor has signed up to this point, and then some of the bills that have been vetoed. So we've had about 8 bills regarding law enforcement signed into effect, and I'll defer to Chief if he wants to get into any detail, or I'm happy to answer any questions on those. Most of them are dealing with the officer certification, officer misconduct, use of force, things that we saw throughout the legislative session that were prevalent related to law enforcement. There were about 24 bills or more related to healthcare that were signed into effect, a number of them dealing with long-term care facilities, skilled nursing facilities, et cetera. A lot of that coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic and things that were happening in those types of facilities. And then there are a number of other bills signed into law. I'll highlight one for you, AB 428, which was sponsored by Assemblymember Mays, and it has to do with terms for Board of Supervisors. And this would be statewide, not just particular to Riverside or San Bernardino County, but requiring a minimum of 2 terms for any Board of Supervisor, anything that would be proposed or changed to the tenure of a Board of Supervisor would have to be a minimum of 2 terms. There's another bill sponsored by Assemblymember Mays dealing with establishing a sorry, I lost my my word. It's a pilot program for LAFCO regarding serving what we would typically call extraterritorial areas. I'm keeping a close eye on this one now that it's signed into effect, as it could possibly pertain to the city of Beaumont and some of the things that we have done with our wastewater plant and our ability to serve jurisdictions or uses outside of the city boundary proper, outside of our sphere. So we'll be keeping an eye on how that pilot program goes. There were a number of bills that were vetoed. None of them, unfortunately, were ones that we would have liked to seen vetoed. There was a couple pertaining to law enforcement, a couple pertaining to small wireless facilities. But the one that was most notable that was vetoed was SB 792, and that had to do with the sales and use tax reporting for e-commerce and things like that. The bill was going to require the reporting agency to break down by jurisdiction. So if it was Riverside County, they would have to break down how much sale was in Beaumont, how much was in Banning, how much was in Calamasa, and so forth. That bill was vetoed, citing that that would be a duplicative process, and that information is already accessible. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any bills or any issues of interest to council this evening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Taylor. Do you have any questions from council? Seeing none. Thank you for your report, Ms. Taylor. That brings us to economic development update.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Very quickly, I don't have an update for you this evening, other than the committee meets next Wednesday at 4 o'clock. So I look forward to updating you next time around.
Okay, thank you very much. Brings us to City Treasurer report.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor. Thank you much. Just real quick, we did do a review of the internal controls from our last audit. Mr. Cooley and myself went in and checked those, and everything was good per the plan that had been in place there and had been checked. We went over it. We found one discrepancy, and it really wasn't a discrepancy as much as it was there was a double signature required in the process. So it was signed on one part of the process and not on the other. That's been corrected to just get it down to a single signature, so there are 2 parts to the same thing. We will have by November the finance training that was described as one of the tasks that we have in our subcommittee, and the CFD program. There'll be a forthcoming recommendation at our next meeting as far as a timeline on it. As far as the other projects that you assigned, we have not had a chance to assign those to individuals. That should be done at our next meeting next week. That's all I have. Thank you
very much, sir. Appreciate that. Next up is the city clerk report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I like the new website. Other than that, I have no report this evening.
Thank you, sir. Brings us to city attorney report.
Yes, just to give you an update on litigation that's pending against the city, that's been served on the city. You have a list in item number 16 in your packet of those cases. There are currently 4. The first item is Christian Lee versus the city of Beaumont. That case is scheduled to go to mediation. The second item is Charles Peters versus the city of Beaumont. And that case, as I've reported in the past, is on appeal. It is fully briefed, and we're awaiting a hearing date from the Court of Appeal. The third item is Southwest Regional Council of Carpenters versus the city of Beaumont. And we are we have been working on settlement of that matter, and we hope to have a positive outcome of those efforts in the very near future. And of course, we'll report to the council if that occurs. And then the fourth item is the matter that we discussed in closed session this evening. So I don't have any further comment on that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pinckney. Brings us to the city manager report.
Oh, my, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. One, I think, critical piece of information for you is I did meet with Mr. Doug Schultz earlier this week. And it's really our first in an effort to try to get together quarterly and just kind of talk about issues of common interest or maybe points of disagreement between our communities, things to identify and work through. The point of our initial meeting was to discuss Highland Springs, particularly the traffic signal, the left turn pocket or protected left turn concept at Highland Springs and First Street. So we kind of worked through that. Various other Highland Springs issues that have kind of been out there for a while. And then we discussed the homeless question as well. And we agreed to bring our PDs together to begin working on a process to begin trying to identify what a good communication strategy would be for responsible giving, those types of things within the community. So our plan is to try to get that organized, get working together on that, and then to be coming to our respective councils for some updates and for some direction on where to go. So that process is going. And again, our plan is to just have ongoing quarterly meetings where we'll just sit down maybe over lunch and just kind of talk things out, see how we're going. I did not attend RCA's meeting, but I did identify an endangered species, and apparently it's Chargers fans. They're nearly extinct. So noticed that in the game last night. So that concludes my city manager report.
Thank you for that excellent report, sir. We have any future agenda items from council members wish to add?
Mr. Mayor, I just have a comment on that. So I had previously requested community outreach update, and that was well covered, in my opinion, on the strategic communications update. So I want to thank staff for that. That covered the questions that I had.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to council reports. Councilmember Santos.
Very good, thank you. Just a quick, update on this. Attended the CAL series, and on this, I'll make it brief because there's a lot of things going on the CAL series on this. We voted. They did voted on the online sales tax on this. We said no, but majority, voted for yes. But the thing is, there's an issue in there, and I express on why the CAL series is, giving us time to really digest and give more opinion, all our ideas in there, instead of giving us a quick, really answers on this. So what they're doing now is they will call the city manager. They have a city manager legislature council. They have to get together and discuss this. Even they pass it, on this. So that's the quick thing in there. And also on the maintenance on the train railroad. We said yes on that, and majority voted for that. Now, if I go back on the sales tax, is so complicated, and because of the sales tax, there's two sales tax in there that they call it the use tax, and then the transactional tax in there. The one who really voted against it is us, Moreno Valley, and Ontario, and on this, and because of the again, the way they see us and everything, it benefits us only. But the thing is, there's a sales tax by Brian Burns that putting on the bill on this. And what will happen is where this sales tax originate? Is it from the store or the services, and also from the warehouse? And the question is, if coming from the out of state, how are we going to distribute this sales tax? Now, there's another proposition that the county will hold as a like a clearinghouse. They will collect everything, and then that's the time they will distribute that. So it's getting so complicated and everything. So we're jumping in on that. So probably within end of the year, they said January, we will hear from them on this, especially the state on how they're gonna handle this. So that's so complicated on that topic on that. Now I'll jump in on me and Mayor Pro Temp Lloyd White attended the LEAC, and it's so nice. That we attended there, and we met our most of the officers in there, and I do congratulate who got the award in there. I'm glad that we got this. I have to type through on my phone. Is Pistilli Landscaping by Matthew Pistilli on Pistilli Landscape. He was awarded on the Community Business Partnership Recognition on 2020, and I'm glad that we have presentations in there. Being recognized, and one of our businessmen, and he's been on the Beaumont for a long time. Probably you will encounter him. He's a very, very good man. And then also Deputy Chief Tony Yukon been recognized in there, and Chief was not so it's not funny, but sorry about that. We miss you. It's well represented in there, and I enjoy that and looking at it. And then I do congratulate also most of the officers from Hemet. They really dominated the thing in there. I have my own ideas on that. I did share it to our city manager. Hopefully by next year we'll be being recognized on a different recognition. That crime is so low, and the way I see it in Beaumont, and our officers are doing so well, and that's about it, Mayor. That's all I have to report. Thank you.
Councilmember Finn.
None this evening, sir.
All right, sir. Councilmember Martinez.
Yeah, I attended the RCA meeting and did remind them that the city offered to assist in the procedure to update the fee manual that the mayor requested. So I made that a reminder. And well, actually, the city manager did get a call. So we'll see how that goes. And it's still insisting that we have some sort of a prepayment plan for those mitigation fees. So we'll see how that goes. We just discussed some of the federal and state grants that we'll be receiving to help with some of our studies of our species that we monitor in the plan. We received a joint project review status, and talked a little bit about a stakeholders committee that the chairperson wants to go ahead and get started again. And we talked about the species of the month. So the San Diego desert wood rat. We talk about maintaining its habitat within the preserve. So that's all, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. And Mayor Pro Tem White.
First, let me defend the wood rats from San Diego. We recognize that it's an imminent risk to our health to attend a Charger Raiders football game because too many Charger fans have lost their livelihood and their lives in the Raiders Charger games. So We just went into hibernation, but we watched on TV a good win for the Chargers. I too attended the LEAC meeting. I'm always a little bit concerned when Mr. Santos says, "I'll be brief," but you did really well tonight, so I appreciate that. And more on a serious note, at the last council meeting, Mr. Finn had brought up the idea of addressing an issue that one of our public comments brought up about the water agencies, one of their actions that they're taking. And I'd hoped that it would be on tonight's council meeting in time for their October 11th meeting where they're going to make a decision. And since it was not, Mr. Finn and myself met, and we agreed that we wanted to issue a public comment for the water agency meeting, and I just wanted to make sure that you folks are aware of that. I've got the comment here. I'm not going to read it in full, but I just wanted to read the first sentence. And the first sentence says, "This is a public comment from the individual council members who have signed below and is not an official position of the Beaumont City Council." And I have copies for all of you if you want to be aware of what we're going to present. And if any of you want to be included and would like to provide input on editing or changing the letter, we welcome that. So I just wanted to bring that up to you folks. And I think that's it.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. White. Appreciate that. I attended, yesterday was the WRCOG meeting. Just wanted to bring to your attention, they are starting the process for the 10th program Nexus study. This time around, they're going to go ahead and add what they're calling Intelligent Transportation Systems, or ITS. What those are is funding that would be available or made available for permanently installed electronic signs to help with traffic, synchronization of signal lights, on and off ramp signalization, things like that. Those will be added into the Nexus study. One of the comments or suggestions I made is that as a part of the Nexus study, they develop what I called options to fee implementation. Typically, those will be offset or sometimes what they'll do is the Nexus study will develop a fee increase. The jurisdiction may vote to delay that, which ends up costing could be millions of dollars in lost revenue. So my suggestion is develop the options up front as a part of the Nexus study so that the fees can be accurately reflected. So if you do phase it in, there isn't a loss of revenue, and kind of defeats the whole purpose of a Nexus study. So they're going to take that into consideration and look into that. The other thing is I wanted to congratulate Officer Segovia bringing home the women's middleweight boxing belt, which she won against Palm Springs PD. It was awesome. I wish, is that open to the public? No. Okay. We need to advertise that. That would have been fun to go to, so keep that in mind, Chief. All right. And last comment is just a friendly reminder that the Parks and Rec Department is looking for bags of candy for their trunk or treat program. So just remember to participate if you can. And with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 8:33.